Selling is for businesses what water and oxygen are to humans. Successful business owners are either effective at sales or they have an effective salesperson who works for her. So you either have to know how to sell, you need to have someone on your team who knows how to sell, period. No exceptions. And while that's always been true, it's even more true today because the fitness consumer has more options available to her than ever before, from other brick and mortar gyms and studios, connected fitness providers, individual fitness professionals. And the good news is that once you master the fundamentals of selling and implement replicable sales processes, you too will become a sales rock star. Today's objectives is three things. Number one, we're going to shift your selling mindset, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Number two, we're going to lay the foundation for our conversations in terms of sales basics and terminology and what you need to remember about your business. And then we're going to discuss the importance of asking powerful questions that will prepare you to have easy and successful sales conversations. So that's what we're going to do for the next 45 minutes. This is your come to Jesus moment to tell you that selling is for businesses what water and oxygen are to humans. In other words, if you can't sell, you can't stay in business. But the good news is that each and every one of you already knows how to sell. And by implementing a few simple processes, you can become more effective at selling. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, some of you might be asking, why do you need to sell fitness programs? Because prior to the pandemic, maybe you didn't need to sell. Maybe you could simply put the sign outside your studio and people would walk in and your front desk staff would process credit card transactions and life was good. But the world has changed drastically in 18 months. There's more competition than ever from Peloton, Apple Fitness, Mirror, Tonal, etc. People are working from home. Routines have been disrupted and changed. And what you did to generate clients pre-pandemic simply isn't sufficient today. The notion that if you build it, they will come is no longer the reality because people have options and they need a compelling reason to visit your studio versus exercising at home or visiting another studio or gym. How often have we heard a business coach tell us that if we automate our businesses and implement replicable systems, we can have a business that runs itself and gives us the freedom to have the life that we want for ourselves and for our families? Well, they're not wrong. Selling is a vital component of that process. So let's redefine what we mean when we say selling. It's the process by which we provide the solution that will enable someone to achieve her goals. If you want to enjoy the freedom of being a successful business owner who can take vacations, book weekly spa appointments, and enjoy fine dining, you must develop simple and effective sales processes that convert leads into clients who generate recurring revenue for your studio. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking that selling is not ladylike or you don't know how to sell. So please remember that each and every one of you knows how to sell, or you wouldn't be as successful as you already are, and your studio would not have survived the pandemic. How do I know that? Because you're already selling every day. When you ask an instructor to teach the 9 a.m. class on New Year's Day, you're selling. When you ask the contractor to finish installing your new sound system by a certain date, you're selling. When you ask your landlord to reduce your rent during the shutdown, that was selling. So I know that you know how to sell, and all you need to do to become proficient at sales are shift your mindset to embrace selling, implement simple and effective sales processes, which we will discuss today, and apply those processes consistently. Now, I want to emphasize number two, implement simple and effective sales processes. Many people think that selling is complicated and it's like algebra and calculus times three and trigonometry and all that other stuff we didn't like in school. That's not what selling is. Some of the most effective studios I know have very simple processes. And when you ask them about their process and you hear them explain it, your first response might be, that's it? Yeah, that's it. Simple, boring, effective, consistent. So it's not rocket science, and we're going to show you some of that today. But first,
one thing that's really important to note is that beliefs are decisions. So if we believe, for example, that we can't sell something, then that's going to completely impact the results, right? Or if we believe, for example, that it's going to be hard to find new talent, or if we believe, for example, that it's really hard to get new members if we're required to wear masks and it's COVID and everybody thinks it's unsafe, right? It's a decision. And most of the time, we're not aware that that's a decision. And what happens with these beliefs is they impact our thoughts. So we start thinking, we start going into overwhelm sometimes. How am I going to get this all done? Where am I going to find these people? Why can't I find any people? We start asking questions, but they're not necessarily powerful questions. And we're going to talk a lot about powerful questions today. Asking the right questions that are going to give you powerful results. Because our thoughts influence our feelings when we've made up a belief that doesn't feel very good. And so then when we're feeling like, well, what's the point? Or I'm overwhelmed, or I have no idea how I'm going to make this happen, or where the hell am I going to find good talent? It influences your actions. And then your actions influence directly your results, and your results reinforce your beliefs. So we have to be really, really careful when we're saying absolutes, because most of the time, they're not necessarily true. And when we're in that, we kind of cut ourselves off from all the amazing possibilities. One thing that's really important to know
Sorry. So you just heard Beth Bishop, who's the founder of Phoenix Effect in Los Angeles, talk about the mindset and the relationship between belief and actions. And if any of you believe you don't know how to sell, if any of you believe that you can't sell, and especially if any of you believe that you don't want to sell, I'm encouraging you to reconsider those beliefs, to adopt different beliefs that are more empowering, that will put you in the proper mindset so you can become a more effective salesperson. For a little inspiration, consider that some of the most successful business women built their careers in sales. I'm talking about people like Meg Whitman at eBay was a top salesperson, Carly Fiorina at Hewlett Packard, and Gina Ramadi at IBM. These are world-class brands, and these women got to the top of their industries because they were effective sales. Likewise, historically, the residential real estate industry has been dominated by women. That means, and I checked as I was preparing this presentation, over 65% of residential real estate agents are women. So the notion that women can't sell and don't know how to sell or choose not to sell, it's just not consistent with our economy. You guys are selling every day, and all you need is a little guidance on more effective ways to sell. But we know you can sell because, as I said, you're already selling. And Sarah Blakely is one of my favorite inspirations for this conversation because she's one of the few self-made women billionaires, and she speaks openly and unapologetically about selling, stating that when she started Spanx, her mantra was and remains, make it, sell it, build awareness. That's what you guys are doing. You're making it, you're delivering your fitness programs, the classes, the bar and the cycling classes. You want people to become aware of those classes. That's selling. And here's the funny part about sales. There's no magic to it. It's selling doesn't mean, or let me reframe, selling isn't the used car salesman selling something selling something the person doesn't need. Selling is about being authentic and connecting authentically with your prospect or your lead and using everything you know about your prospect to help that person achieve her goals. It requires active listening and connecting the dots for them and not being shy about it. You want to be direct and authentic and act as the expert that you are. That's what we mean when we are talking about selling. And remember that the transformation for the client can't happen without the transaction. Let me say that again. The transformation for the client can't happen without the transaction. You have to actually ask for the purchase. And doing so isn't greedy. It's necessary to get your clients on the right path and to deliver the product that you believe in to that client. Transformation cannot happen without the transaction. And remember, every potential client contacted you for a specific reason, ranging from preparing for a marathon or a wedding to weight loss or simply a desire to improve her overall health. Regardless of the reason, you have the solution that can help the prospect achieve her goals, but she can only achieve her goals if she makes an affirmative action to pursue her goals, which requires a financial commitment to herself. Let me emphasize that again. Requires a financial commitment to herself. When you're telling her that an unlimited membership at your studio costs $200 or $250, you're not telling her that solely because you want her to pay you the $250. You're telling her that because she needs to understand that the $250 per month is a commitment she's making to herself to hold herself accountable to come take classes 3 times, 4 times a week, 12 times a month. That is about a commitment to herself. And we all know that we value those things that we invest in. So if the class was free, it's easy to not show up. If there's a late cancellation, you think about canceling within the 24 hours. And if you spend $200 in auto pay, you're much more likely to commit to come to the class, which is not about coming to the class, but coming to the class is part of the solution you're offering to help your client achieve her goal. And later on, we're going to talk about powerful questions and active listening. So we'll connect the dots here. Selling is about listening to your client tell you what she's trying to accomplish in her life, and you are telling her that you can help her achieve her goals and objectives. And you're going to lay out a path for her that includes the client making a financial commitment to herself. It's about the client, it's not about you. So to sum it up, just do it. Shift your mindset and get ready to sell.
Hey everybody, Jessica LaChance here. Do you want more business education for your fitness studio or wellness business? Subscribe to our YouTube channel or our email newsletters, and we'll see you here soon.